right. Hi everybody. It's your pals, TJ, aka El Topo, and Chris, aka El Topo 2. Uh, oh, and now I
Is that
can't get
handle still available? I'll take
El
it.
Topo 2. No, you can be son of El Topo, Mijo de El Topo. I don't
What
think.
is so your handle, Instagram handle, or no?
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
I'm
Instagram.
not going to give away all of your personal information, but
I don't give a shit.
Elotopo
Yeah,
XL. I get
yeah.
Elotopo. What's the
Um.
XL?
So El Topo XL, I want basically El Topo was a handle that I used on a bunch of message boards. Kids, there used to be these things on the internet called message boards where if you were a fan of something, you could post on these like big, long, giant forums. And anyway, I used to use El Topo everywhere, and El Topo is a reference to the Alejandro Jodorowsky movie. Um, and when I started that Gmail account that I've had for a million years, I wanted to do El Topo. It wouldn't let me, so I put XL because I used to add XL to everything.
Yeah,
And somebody thought that that was a reference to my large penis, like XL,
that's
like
what I
large.
always thought.
No, it's actually a reference to the PlayStation 1 game Wipeout XL, like
Oh
XL,
wow,
like go faster. Yes.
wow,
Yeah. It's deep, deep TJ lore here.
wow. So
Yeah,
you
right.
combined your love of
Uh, of
Jodorowsky
art
and
house films and PlayStation 1 racing games. Yes.
I'm not quite sure how that connects.
Cyberpunk racing games at that. That game was
Oh
awesome.
wow. Okay.
But anyway, so we're gonna talk about I hope you're ready to get canceled because I am so ready to get canceled. We are talking about Ty West's um masterwork question mark X, and
Yeah.
by extension I'm sure we'll end up talking a little bit about Pearl as well because you kind of can't talk about one without the other, and we can't talk about Maxine or Max XXX scene yet because it's not released. But yeah, we're gonna talk about a movie that pretty much all of like film bro TikTok and film bro Twitter loves, and I'm gonna bury the lead and say that I didn't care for this movie pretty much at all. I'm just gonna jump right in. I think that this movie is um this is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Absolutely,
Um
100%.
and they don't and Ty West doesn't do anything with those references. Like it's shot really well. I'll give him credit. Like there's some cool shots and like the color compositions are good, but like really they're just mirroring Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Even the location on a farm and the
Yeah.
look of the farmhouse looks like the Texas Chainsaw house. And
Creepy old family.
that's about yeah, the old family, but that's about where like it's like okay, it's an homage to Texas Chainsaw, but what else do you got? And to me, like the beginning part of I think that the movie is kind of interesting right up until you get to the reveal of the killer and kind of the crux of the whole movie. And that happens right around the midway point. It's not like I feel like this movie would be better served if maybe you saved your dumb reveal to like the last 5 minutes because then you don't have time to think about it.
Yeah.
But instead, like it happens pretty early in the movie, and from that point on, like I could care less. Like I have gone on record many times as saying there is few tropes I hate more in horror than the scary old people trope. One
Are
old people
people really generally that terrified of
old
old
people
people?
old people are not scared. Well, I think it to put on my fucking film study glasses. Old people represent frailty and death, and I think people are scared of dying, and that's really what it comes down to.
But if it was
Now,
you against
you
some some
sorry, I had to
octogenarian,
soldier boy. I had to soldier
yeah.
boy up to
If it was you, if I were to uh decide on a battle between TJ and random 80-year-old senior
oh, I'd
citizen,
fuck
I,
them up.
yeah, you would
Well,
do
that's
some
my
damage. I would be
but
more
that's
scared of you and what you would do to
Yeah,
that elderly person
that's
than
my
what they could
problem.
possibly do to you.
That's my problem, Chris, because this old person, so the killer in this movie, spoiler alert, obviously, is like a 90-year-old woman, and she's like running around and stabbing people and dragging bodies, and like I get that's totally ridiculous. And this movie is not like a supernatural horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, that alone takes me out of the fucking movie. Bro, I am in my 40s, and if I get out of bed a little bit too fast, my day is ruined. You know what I mean? Like, I pull a muscle taking the trash out. This, you're telling me this 90-year-old lady, and I mean, this decrepit 90-year-old lady
Oh yeah, she's a mess.
is stabbing people and running and getting shot, because remember, she does get shot.
Yeah.
Like, now she does eventually die from getting shot, but I think she was
Well, she doesn't
standing
actually die from getting shot.
right, yeah, that's right, yeah. But
We can give that spoiler alert or spoiler
I
away later.
just, it kills me. And I think, like, the other thing, and I will pass the mic to you after this, but the other thing that I cannot stand is when a director constantly is going to his audience, and he's taking a hammer and he's beating you over the head with it, and he goes, do you get it, do you get it, do you get it? Ty West is so not, he has no faith in his audience whatsoever, because the one of the themes of the film is, we all get old and decrepit, right? Like, that's a running theme in the movie. So in this movie, he casts Mia Goth as both characters. The fucking old character goes, man, you're just like me when I was young. You just look, and then, yeah, of course, you're the same fucking actress. Secondly, there's a scene where one of the characters is literally playing Landslide by the fucking stupid ass Fleetwood Macs, that famous band, the Fleetwood Macs. You're
Oh, they
familiar.
weren't doing the Smashing Pumpkins version, doing the Fleetwood Mac version.
Hey, not for nothing, I actually really like that version.
Yeah.
I don't care for the original. I kind of like the Smashing
Yeah.
Pumpkins version. Anyway, they're playing Landslide as they're doing crosscuts between the old lady, like, looking in a mirror and putting on
Yeah.
makeup and fucking brushing her hair. It's like, do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? It's like, bro, I get it, man. And I'll pass the mic to you, because
I'm
sorry,
actually enjoying
I'm
listening
watching
to you
I was watching
immensely.
those congressional hearings yesterday, and it's just, you have my time. Yeah, yes or no questions, Chris. Yes or no. What is the internet? What is the internet? Sir, you're being deflective. What is the internet?
Well,
Chris, what do
first
you,
and foremost, the internet is now TikTok, and TikTok
okay.
is the internet. That
Oh.
that's it. You know,
Yeah,
we are all.
did you know that that TikTok does TikTok connect to the Wi-Fi? Oh my god, these fucking boomers. Like, what
It's
the fuck?
painful,
It's
but
embarrassing, dude. Anyway,
yeah.
speaking of embarrassing, this movie.
So I almost feel the same exact way you do. My issue being that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not only my favorite horror movie, it's my favorite movie of all time.
I respect that, and I completely agree.
Yeah.
It is not only like, it is fundamental for horror movies. Like, it is
Yeah.
a bedrock of horror movies, but it's also like, I think it's not lauded enough. I don't It's a very good piece of filmmaking, just in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Part of my visceral reaction to this movie is because I'm very precious of Texas Chainsaw
Yeah.
Massacre, and I feel like kind of insulted by this movie, and it's like, it's
I mean, shit,
tropey. And
TJ, we went to HorrorCon in Hunt
yes,
Valley, Maryland, and met
yes,
Gunnar Hansen,
yes,
Leatherface in
that's
person.
right, that's right.
That was
He
great.
was, he was very nice. I'm glad
He
we
was
got to
awesome
meet him before he
and very
passed.
tall.
He's still a big guy, yeah.
So I just felt, which is fine. I have no problem with people paying homage to a
No, not
great
at all.
fucking film. That's awesome. So I was really excited when this came out, and it definitely, from watching the trailer, it gave off heavy Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes. So I was like, I'm definitely gonna see this.
Yeah,
And I didn't go into it with any preconceived notions.
yeah,
Um, I was just really wanted to see this, and I hadn't seen. Well, this is Ty West's first feature, if I'm
Oh no. He's
no?
made a ton. Yeah, he's made a ton of stuff, and I hate all of his movies. He made a movie called The Innkeeper. He made a movie called Sacrament. He made a movie called what the hell is it called? It's something about the devil. House of the Devil. House of the Devil is the
Oh,
one good.
okay, that's right. My bad.
House of the Devil is the
That
one
one I
good
do
one.
remember.
House of the
Um,
Devil is very good. The Innkeepers stars uh what's her name? Mika Monroe from Watcher that we talked about.
mhm.
The Innkeepers is a movie I haven't seen in a long time. I just have a bad memory of it. Like I haven't seen it in so long, I couldn't tell you what it's about, but I just remember not liking it, so I may need to revisit it. Sacrament is this, it's a great it's kind of like this movie. It's a great premise that goes nowhere. It's a found footage movie basically about like a Jonestown type compound, and these guys are like embedded journalists, but it is the most boring as piss movie. I mean, the
I'll
my
recant
favorite,
my statement, and I
yeah, it's
apologies to
okay.
Ty West. This is not his first
He's also
feature film. It's the
my
first feature film that I saw of Ty
my
West.
favorite my favorite thing Ty West has ever done is, are you familiar with the film You're Next, Chris?
No.
We should maybe review that
All
sometime.
right.
It's very good. It's a movie by Adam Wingard, but all of the people in the movie are directors and writers. And Ty West is in the movie, and he gets murdered. He gets shot an arrow through his throat, and I was like, yes. But Your Next is awesome, and it makes me miss when Adam Wingard was good. But now he makes Godzilla versus Kong, and he's lost, and we'll probably never get him
He's
back.
a big
But
deal. Where can we watch that movie?
I don't know. It was on Netflix for a long time, but
All
I'm
right,
not
maybe we'll
sure.
drop that in the description.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. But yeah, Your Next is great. Anyway,
Okay, so
way
Ty
back when
West.
you said we wanted to don't watch this, watch this kind of thing. Don't
Yeah,
watch
exactly.
X. Go watch Your Next. There's an X in it. It works.
I didn't hate this movie. I was disappointed in it. I
That's
thought
fair.
like it was one of those movies where you kind of knew what was coming a mile
Yeah.
away. You like, okay, this character walks into this quiet barn by himself in the middle of the night. Something bad's bound to happen. You don't know what it is, but you know he's probably going to get killed. And um, I like jump scares, and it had
Sure.
a few of them in this.
It had a few.
Uh, it it was just predictable, and I felt like yes, it was an homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre without, how do I put this, without the scare element. Like
Yeah.
it didn't
Well,
like resonate with me, and
yeah.
I just thought that what Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we're going to reference this throughout the show, I'm
You have
sure.
to. Yeah.
The way they marketed that too is like, based on a true story or based
Sure.
on true events. Before you even see the movie, it's like, oh, you're scared shitless because
Yeah.
then you see the mask and this big guy running through with the chainsaw hacking people up. And there's also a deeper story there than just him cutting people to pieces.
Right.
This, I didn't feel like it had anything deeper. It was just
No,
very
and
much on the surface.
well,
And
and the ironically, the one of the themes of the movie is about beauty, which is of
yeah,
course at surface level. So I
yeah,
can tell you that there's going to be some A24 psychos that are going to tell you that that was intentional, but I'm sorry, it was not.
yeah. I mean, I don't know.
How did you
I
feel about the porn element? Because I thought like it didn't really amount to much in the end. Like it was literally just kind of filler for me. Like I thought you could do something with it, but then
yeah.
it was just kind of eh.
I think it was a good way to rope in the male demographic to watch your movie.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what's interesting? I looked up the stats on this particular film, and like half the audience, the ticket goers, were men, or 55% were men.
Sure.
Um, I thought it would have been more lopsided.
Shockingly, horror is very popular amongst women.
No, I'm not saying
Yeah,
that. I just
yeah.
meant for like the X porn element. I thought that would have like
Oh yeah,
like way more male viewers, but surprisingly not.
yeah,
Also, it's not a porn, so there's
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's
I
I
felt
think it was
like,
just like, just trying to rope people in.
yeah,
Uh,
because like I said, by the time the movie's over, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that was kind of the setup, and it was just like, like
but I
I don't,
guess if you're
I was
writing this
left
movie, how else would you tie in this group of really young, uh,
right.
attractive
Well,
people to this desolate rural
it's
barn?
fair. It's a fair enough segue. I just felt like they didn't. I didn't feel anything for any of these characters. Like I didn't know these characters. I didn't feel
Yeah.
like I thought that the like I don't know. You needed something, and then I think that the something that they think they added was like the weird like element between like like Jenny Ortega's character like wanting to be in the porn and then suddenly just being in the
In the
porn, and
porn.
then like
Yeah.
the boyfriend is like broken up but then he's murdered like immediately. It's
Yeah.
like it's
He
weird,
doesn't
like
even have time to grieve
yeah, and
before
it's
he's
I guess like
murdered.
that's and I know like obviously like horror movies aren't known for having like well-rounded characters, but in a movie that doesn't have like I don't have anything to grab onto, right? Like the only thing, and I think the only thing that people like in the movie, and again I understand it, is Mia Goth. Like people love Mia Goth, and I
Yeah.
think like people are so we talk about this a lot, and I'm sorry I reference my other show, Movie the Podcast, a lot, but we talk a lot about movies like nostalgia movies, right? Like movies that you watched as a kid, and then you go back and watch them, and you're like, oh, that's fucking terrible. But you only remember like the things that make a strong impact in your memory kind of wipes away everything else. I think people like Mia Goth has a chemist like a charisma, right? She's very charismatic. There's something about her on the screen that you want to watch her. I agree with that. And I think that her presence is so strong. I think it overrides like people don't even worry about it. They're just like, well, I liked it because it was violent and I liked Mia Goth, and they don't really like they don't do the granular bullshit that I or
Do,
you do. You know what I mean?
do you think that this movie would have been as much of a success without Mia Goth?
No, I don't think so at all. If you plugged in just some other actress, probably not. I honestly think it fucking 80% her.
Yeah.
And then the thing that I don't understand is and if you I'll only talk about this briefly because this isn't what the show's about. But so after this came out, Ty West was like, "Well, we're gonna do a trilogy out of fucking nowhere." I'm like,
Yeah. Well, they
"What?"
filmed this and Pearl
Pearl
back
at
to
the
back.
same time because they had it's all on the same set.
Yeah.
And briefly, I just want to talk about Pearl because Pearl has many of the same problems that I have with X, whereas X is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre homage. Pearl is a fucking Wizard of Oz homage. So I'm like, okay, like the movie starts out and it's like this very like ultra saturated Technicolor thing, and the score is very much like that kind of 50s vibe and the font and everything. I'm like, okay, like it's kind of interesting. But then like there's a way in which people acted back then. Like acted, I don't mean like in real life. I mean like if you go back and watch a movie in the 50s, everybody's very theatrical and they have a like if you that's the main problem a lot of people have watching older movies, right? They don't talk like normal people.
Yeah.
They have this very stagey way of speaking, and that's just the way it was. Like to me, he didn't he didn't go all the way, right? Like he did it's the same thing he did in this in X, where it's like you went halfway and then you just kind of stopped. Like you were like, okay, we're gonna make Pearl this weird sort of out of time 50s movie, but you didn't. You just color graded it the right way, and
Yeah.
you added some like 50s style music, but then they just act like normal, and the editing is still the same, and like it's like you didn't do it right. Like you kind of half-assed it. Like, and that I think that's his problem just in general. Also, the scene behind me with the probably the people would argue the best scene in the movie, which is ironically over the credits. That's just Ty West loving David Lynch. Like you can't tell me otherwise. Like David Lynch loves weird, uncomfortable, long takes, and that's all that is.
Yeah.
But anyway, not I didn't care for Pearl either. That's another one that people loved. I again, a great perform. I would say a better performance by Mia Goth in that movie. But a movie that just doesn't go anywhere. And then like she's like Mia Goth's character Pearl, the titular Pearl, is like perfectly normal and fine, and then all of a sudden like just becomes a murderer in like 2 seconds with almost no like forethought. And then people tell me on the internet that it was like foreshadowed that she was like evil beforehand, but like I don't know what movie they're watching. I think they're doing a lot of work for the movie, but I just, that's the thing with Ty West, man. I feel like he, the things that people level against like a Quentin Tarantino, where they're like, oh, he just is all influences and there's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, no, like there's so much more there. Like it's how he shoots a scene, it's how he motivates his actors, it's his fucking dialogue and how he writes. And it's like, it's clearly more than just his influences, right? Like you can look at the fight scene in Kill Bill between the bride and Ren Ishii, and it's like, yeah, that's like Lady Snowblood, but like watch both those scenes back to back, and you're not like, oh, it's exactly the same. It's clearly different. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the funny thing is, like, we both agree that to us personally, this film wasn't that great, but we are in the super minority here
Oh
because there
yeah,
are a lot of
yeah, and
people that really love this film, and I
I
wish
mean,
I could understand why.
yeah, I mean, this and Pearl were on people's, and it came out in the same year, so that's kind of
Critics loved
interesting.
it too. I mean, across the board, people just generally really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, and I don't get it. I just I don't I can understand, not like kind of like your take, right? Like you didn't hate it as much as I did, but you have to understand like I'm generally like very much like it's either the worst thing I've ever seen or the best thing I've ever seen. Like I have a hard time with like in between reactions, and I can understand just being like, yeah, it was fine. But like people that were like, it's one of the best movies of the year, I'm like, what movie
mm,
did you guys watch? Like,
yeah.
I don't understand. And you know, I don't know. I know that, obviously we're critical and stuff, and people aren't maybe as critical, but sometimes I just look at stuff and I'm like, I don't understand what y'all see in this fucking movie. Like, I really don't. And maybe you don't have the familiarity with Texas Chainsaw Massacre or whatever, but even still, like, again, like, isn't I can't think of a good slasher movie where the slasher was boring and sucked. Like,
Yeah.
isn't that kind of like when it's revealed it's just some old lady, aren't you all like, isn't that enough to be like, oh, like it's just an
Right.
old
You got to
lady?
suspend your disbelief, which is fine. You can do that. But at
Like
the same,
have the old lady like give them drugs or something, or like
something more
like
believable.
something, give me something than her just literally like,
Right.
she looks like the fucking beast from that stupid ass M. Night Shyamalan movie, like running on all fours, like between the barn. Like, have the alligator kill more people or something. Like, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just,
let's talk about that for a second, because for me that was a pretty, for me, I like that idea of the alligator.
also apparently that alligator is like 57 years old. I don't know how old alligators live, but that
Yeah.
alligator is also in Pearl. I don't know how that's possible.
So
Actually, I guess the alligator would have to be older than that, and who knows, but it seems strange to me. Maybe it's like the alligator's kid. I don't know.
there's a scene in the movie where, well, the alligator is a cold-blooded killer.
Yes.
Just, and um the old lady had a hand in pushing one of the characters in, and
Yeah. The
said
alligator.
alligator tore to pieces, which, you don't often see that
Yeah,
um
that was cool.
in a
I
horror
like
movie.
that.
I like that part.
Yeah,
uh,
remember that movie Lake Placid where the
yeah.
advertisements for it were the first serial killer, and it's like, it's an alligator, bro. It's not a serial killer.
But beneath
Oh,
every alligator
yeah.
is a stone cold killer.
I think there was another movie that was about a lion that kept killing people and they referred to it as a serial killer. It's like, that's not how animals work.
There is a really quick tangent. There is a really interesting story that I told my kids. I probably shouldn't have. I think we were about to go to the zoo, and then I had looked up killer tigers, and there was
Oh shit.
two. I think this was on like the India Pakistan border. There was like two crazed um, tigers that was attacking people in the surrounding villages,
Oh my
and
god.
like you could hear the screams of people being pulled into the
Jesus
wilderness
Christ.
at night, and they killed something like, it was a ridiculous number. I don't remember how
So
many.
those tigers really were the first serial
Yeah,
killers.
they were.
That's crazy.
um so on a scale of 1 to 10, I know it's
Sure.
for you, it's probably either a 1 or a 10, but
No,
yeah,
when you get up to a number scale, I get a little bit more rational.
yeah,
Again, it's not all bad, right? Like I'm overreacting. I'll cop to that. I think that there's aspects of this movie that aren't. Oh shit! I got one more thing to say before I get into this.
do it.
There is constant cutback to this black and white TV. It is the Lord's year 2023. When they made this movie, it was probably 2020 or 2019. You can make authentic looking black and white video these
Yeah.
days. Why does that look so crisp? It looks like it's on an iPhone. It bothers the fuck out of me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It looked anyway. That but also like it's revealed that Pearl is the preacher's daughter
Yeah.
for reasons. I guess that's going to be revealed in
Maybe
Maxine
a Maxine. Yeah.
XXX. Anyway, um it's like a 5. Like
Yeah.
it's got redeemable things. Like again, like I think that the cast, they don't have much to do, but the cast is pretty good. The guy that's like the sleazy like porn director is kind of funny. Mia Goth's good. Jenna Ortega's good. The guy that gets cucked is kind of funny. Um the fucking the way it's shot, again, it's derivative as all hell, but like he it looks good. Like it's
Yeah.
shot
He's got a
well.
great aesthetic. Like the guy's got
Yeah.
an eye.
Yeah, it looks good. I just can't get over like the shortcut. And Mia Goth's great. But again though, Mia Goth really doesn't have a whole lot to do in this movie as Pearl, as the I guess, excuse me, Pearl is the old lady, as whatever Maxine. She doesn't have much to do in the younger character, but as the old lady, I guess she's fine. But I don't know. It's ultimately, I think it's like a very forgettable movie. It's a movie that like in 10 years I'll be like, oh yeah, I guess I watched that. I don't
Yeah.
remember. So yeah, it's like a 5. So in a weird way, it's almost worse than a 1, because 5 just means it's like completely
Yeah.
forgettable.
Yeah,
So
because with a 1, you could tell your friends, I just saw the worst movie ever. You have to
well,
go see this awful
I
movie.
mean, even with like a bad movie, like a horrible movie elicits like a strong
Yeah.
emotional response, whereas like something that's just like like
Yeah.
that's kind of what this
I've seen
is.
Trolls 2 like 5 times.
Right.
Amazing.
So yeah, what
Um,
about you? Scale of 1
so
to 10.
I would give it probably a
Or
five and a
one?
half or a
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
For the same reasons you gave above and gave above.
Dave above.
Like it's falling from
Praise
the
him.
sky. um
That's right, folks. We're a religious podcast.
I've been writing all day, so it's like I would
Yeah.
keep referencing things above or below.
Yeah,
Check out
I
this link.
right.
Anyway, it had like all the elements are there to make this a really awesome movie. Like it's got a great cast. I thought the cinematography was great. The directing itself was good.
Yeah.
The music, we didn't even talk about the music.
Yeah.
Chelsea Wolfe
Oh,
and
she
Tyler
did the
Bates.
music for this? Oh,
Yeah,
that's pretty good. I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Um, so everything is there that I could possibly love in a movie, but this just goes to show if the story isn't
Yeah.
solid, then the rest of it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
And I
This
think this is
movie with a different script, or like somebody that like rewrote it like and
yeah.
took out some of the dumber parts, like probably a pretty solid movie.
And I'm sure somebody will say, "Oh, he did it only like on $1 million budget." You can
Well,
still have an awesome script,
that has
you
nothing to
know.
do with
And
the script or
yeah,
the conceit of the movie, which I think is the main problem. Like
yeah,
again, the old people murderer thing is just so weak. Like
yeah,
it's just weak soup, man. Like
yeah.
it's I don't care. I don't care, and it's weird, and I just hate it. Like I don't like the trope. Like watch another horrible example of this is that fucking M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Visit, which is just terrible. Because that literally the whole thing is like, aren't old people scary? And
And
it's
I
like,
also think too that A24 just pumps out amazing movies constantly, right? And I
yeah,
think as cool and hip as A24 is,
yeah.
people might be a little afraid to
Oh
say like,
yeah.
"Oh, this
Oh
A24 movie
yeah.
sucks." It's
It's gotten oversaturated now. Like
yeah,
I like A24, and it's cool that they give you know, they give a lot of filmmakers that I liked before A24 even existed, you know, money or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's getting a little bad. I mean,
Yeah.
I really did not like The Whale, and like I swear to God, half of the buzz around that movie, like if it was put out by fucking Warner Brothers, it like nobody would care. It's like,
Yeah.
well, maybe not, that's a bad example, but yeah, the cult of A24 is definitely a real thing, and it's very odd.
This will
But
probably be our last podcast
yeah, they're
ever
gonna
after
shut
we
us
made.
down. Yeah. But
uh,
I mean, in general, I mean, I think that they've done more good than bad for sure. Like
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
I just think that, you know, it's it's cool to like A24 films. A lot of them
yeah,
are great, but
yeah,
uh this one isn't, and I'm not afraid to say it.
yeah.
This
No,
one just is, it's just flat. It's just
yeah,
yeah. And
yeah. Not like Mia Goth though. Hubba hubba.
yeah. And we didn't even talk too much about Jenna Ortega, but I
She's good in it.
she's good
Yeah.
at it too. I mean, it's before her,
Before
Wednesday
her Wednesday stuff.
debut.
Yeah.
And she was, I mean, I love the fact that she loves doing horror films. And
Yeah, she seems real cool. Like I've seen her in a bunch of interviews, and like she seems to like genuinely love the
yeah,
genre and like knows a lot about the horror. Not that you need to, but like it's just fun when she like I guess she's in the new Scream, which I have like zero interest in watching.
yeah,
But like she was in some interview and she was rattling off like horror stuff. I'm like, ah, that's pretty
that's
awesome.
awesome.
So,
All right.
all
Well,
right,
I think that wraps up.
that will be the show. We don't know what
Yeah.
we're watching next week. But we'll let you know. You'll know when you see the title of next week's episode.
We'll pick it 5 minutes
How it
before we do
works.
this Zoom call.
Yeah, we picked this one like what, yesterday, so it was very
Yeah.
last minute. So
The conversation consists of, what do you want to do tomorrow? I don't know.
yeah,
How about X? Great.
yeah,
See you
yep,
tomorrow.
yep. Ugh. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. And Chris, thank you. Just thank you for so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so
I
much.
love
And
doing this with
thank
you
you,
today.
Mia Goth. And thank you for not having eyebrows. You're really just clashing with those normal I don't even know what I'm trying to say. You're really hot, but
I'm
it's
gonna
weird
fade
when
out this part
yeah,
anyway.
that's
So,
probably good. Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
probably do that. Yeah.
All right. See you,
All right,
everybody.
bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.